My client, Kyle Dawson, is a former collegiate national champion in powerlifting who competed at the first USA Powerlifting Olympia Pro Raw Challenge last month in Orlando. Just a few months prior to that, he was dealing with hip pain so intense that he couldn't squat or deadlift at all. Here is the framework for how we overcame it. So Kyle is a strong dude. He's probably on paper the most qualified lifter that I coach. Like I said, he's won Collegiate Nationals before, he has a host of state and national records that he's broken to his name, and he has a DOTS formula score of over 500. When he signed up to do this meet, we knew that we were going to have to overcome his hip pain, and I hope that some of the lessons we took away from his meet prep will be helpful to you guys as well. And I want to give a little standard warning here that I am a strength coach, not a doctor or a physical therapist or pain expert. So the things that I did here and the scope through which I view things is that of a strength coach. And it's all on the programming and technique side of things. The last meet we did prior to the Olympia was 2023 Collegiate Nationals in Texas. And the prep for that meet is when we first started to notice this hip pain popping up.
Yeah, it was pretty bad. I mean, if you're going like 1 out of 10, probably like 8, 9, maybe 10 sometimes. Like especially, definitely when lifting, it was up there. Like you could see in like videos. Like I went back and like looked at videos and it just looked awkward because like I wouldn't like trust myself or like my body and let me like get into the proper position because of the pain.
It was so bad that it actually ended up affecting his meet day performance, and kind of threw in doubt for a moment there whether or not he could do the meet at all.
Before Collegiate Nationals, we had like a heavy squat day that I failed. Dude, my hip was killing me that day. That was one of the worst days, I think. That was a very painful day with my hip. And then we had the deadlift and I ended up failing that. Didn't even get off the ground. I called you like right after, or I texted you or something, and I was like, yo, like I failed this, which was awful. So then I was like, dang, like I don't even want to do this meet right now. Like I hate it. It's really hard for me to not show up a meet 100%. Like that bothers me that I can't go out and do my best. So like that's really tough on me.
So we knew right away that this is something that we had to address. So after nationals, it was back to the drawing board for us. We'd identified that the things that cause pain are his sumo stance on deadlifts and also his low bar squat. It did scale with intensity, but he also noticed it present even at light loads. When it comes to dealing with any injury, and again within my scope of practice, I try to stick to a few basic guidelines. Number one, we want to change as few things as possible to make the biggest difference. Secondly, we want to avoid things that cause pain, specifically for me, about a 3 or a 4 on a subjective scale of 10. We want to find things that don't hurt to replace them. And we want to maintain strength and hypertrophy as best we can with other movements while we work on improving the stability and mobility of the joint in question. Now, normally I might impose something like a slow tempo or a pause or even a reduction in the range of motion of the competition lift first prior to swapping it out. But this is something that we'd actually already played with before Collegiate Nationals, along with just some minor technical tweaks and changes to see if we could maybe avoid the pain by, adjusting stance or something like that. And it wasn't really working for us. So we knew right away that we just wanted to take some time away from these movements after nationals. So after nationals, Kyle took about a week off, and when we came back, it was without the competition style lift being present for the lower body, either squatting or deadlifting. We actually started out doing stuff like Zercher squats, stiff leg deadlifts, and leg presses, along with his regular bench work, because these things didn't cause him pain. When it became more tolerable, we switched him over to things that were a little bit more similar to the competition style lift and could be loaded a little heavier, namely safety bar squats and conventional deadlifts. These started out as being his primary lifts that he would push the hardest every week. And eventually, as you'll see, they fell further and further into the background, but they were never really absent again until meet day. Our next step was slowly introducing small doses of the competition lift back into the program. This started out on the primary day with just doing the top set of the competition exercise. So it would be one set of low bar squat or sumo deadlift, and the back down sets, all the volume in essence, was done on the safety bar or with the conventional stance. That worked really, really well until we could just slowly start adding one more set, until eventually we got to the point where the entire primary day once again was doing the competition style movement. We were very cautious as we did this, and as I said before, the safety bar squat and the conventional deadlift stayed in the background, and we moved them more so to a secondary day to get more training volume in. For reference, this was a big change for Kyle because we were used to being able to squat 3 times a week and sumo deadlift 2 times a week like a lot of other middle and lightweight competitors can. And now we were down to just 1 time per week of these, with a secondary day being a close variation. And this worked really, really well, and eventually Kyle was hitting numbers that he'd never hit before in training. His pain was more or less entirely gone by the end of prep, and this really served as a reminder or a lesson to me, and I think for a lot of other people who might be listening too, that it's okay to take time away from the competition style lift, and that it's okay to lean on more variation at times, even if you aren't just dancing around injury, as these are still viable ways to build a lot of strength. But how did it work out on meet day? Well, the results more or less spoke for themselves. As I said, the tail end of prep was almost entirely painless, and Kyle was able to push very hard and perform extremely well at the Olympia.
We set PRs on squat and deadlift. We felt good going into it, which was just good for me because since Dallas, we felt like crap going into it, so that was nice. We were very confident going in, which is something I want to feel going into every meet, like confident in my ability to ball out. But yeah, man, it went well. Very happy with the performance, and I think it's something that we're only going to build off of, and I know I got more in me. So,
and if memory serves, that was a PR squat of 633 and a PR deadlift of 689.
Yeah.
That's big, man. That's big.
He ended up finishing 8 for 9 on the day with PRs in squat, deadlift, and total, and was able to, again, just push himself as hard as we needed to take 3rd place overall at a pretty prestigious event, all the while being pain-free. And neither of us could have been happier about it. As far as what's next for Kyle, I'll let him tell you himself.
The Arnold.
First time doing that one?
Yes, sir. The first time doing the Arnold. It's going to be exciting. Trying to put out something filthy.
And that's it for today. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have ideas for content you'd like to see or any questions about this process we went through, please leave them in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe if you want to see more content like this. Thanks, everybody.